Welcome to a football show Friday edition with Nick Suss. I'm just going to start calling it the Tennessean edition of a football show, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages and Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. I am Braden Gall. Nick Suss, good to see you. Good morning. How are you?
I'm here. Hello.
That's always good. It's good that you're here. It's good that you're here. Back from Denver, and no pictures of Shotgun Willie's in Denver. It's kind of frustrating. Kind of upset. Good morning, Eddie.
I don't follow instructions. I don't.
Can we get a second source on this? Becca, can you confirm?
I do have headphones in, but I'll ask her right here. He wants to know, do I follow instructions? Resigned sigh.
That was a long, exasperated sigh.
Resigned sigh on that one.
Yes, there you go. Obviously, Sinkers Beverages, if perhaps you are resigned and sighing on Sunday afternoon and need some beer delivered directly to your house or something stronger, perhaps, search Uber Eats on Sinkers Beverages, and they'll deliver that booze right to your house because you might need it. I don't know what's going to happen other than Byron Young sacking Cam Ward. That's what I know is going to happen. So we'll discuss the injury report. What does it mean for the Titans team? We'll take a look at I think there's a Callahan conversation that sort of I got started mentally, and this is when I know this is why I like doing a show with you, Nick, is because I started this like in the middle of my conversation with PK on Tuesday's show about sort of the complete failure that everyone is sort of putting on Brian Callahan. And while the decision-making in the game was poor, those are the only things that we see and can evaluate as media and fans. It's harder to evaluate the entire 100 hours of work they put in during the week to install a game plan that may or may not work. And so the scheme seems sound, and so I wanted to talk with you about that. And then when we were planning the show, you're like, hey, I want to talk about all the stuff you do during the week. And I was like, good, because I want to do that too. So we will discuss like the actual how much of the game is the thing you should evaluate the head coach on, because the players all made a bunch of mistakes too.
Yeah.
And so we'll get to all the players. We'll get to what some of the game plan, some of the scheme intrigue around the defense and what that looks like with Jarius Sneed, Simmons. Can they replicate what they did in week one? In week two, we'll see what happens. Rams coming up on Sunday at Nissan Stadium with the debut of Cam Ward at home. So there you go. Lots of stuff to get to today. Of course, if you want award-winning brisket, check out Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, the barbecue joint. There is a strip club in Denver called Shotgun Willie's, and I asked both Nick and PK to go take a picture of it, and neither one of them did it for me.
And again, in my defense, like I told Braden, I didn't feel like it. I just didn't want to.
Jared versus frothing at the mouth thinking about these two tackles. Eddie says, at least it's an early kickoff so they can ruin my day early and I can start the coping process. Generally, that's good with maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't be promoting alcohol as a coping mechanism, but if you need to numb the pain, it's good for that. So Sinkers Beverages, or if you like to eat your feelings like some of us do, you obviously can leave early and just go swing by Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, the official barbecue of the Houston Oilers. So, all right. So let's get started with the injury report. So we will. Josh said, "Can't take pictures inside is the most likely reason." That's right. PK and Nick were closing it down at Shotgun Willie's Strip Club in Denver. All right. Injury report: T'Vondre Sweat, JC Latham, Khalil Mullings, and who am I missing? I'm forgetting one. Quandre Diggs. That's right. All DNP, did not practice 2 days in a row. JC Latham then told you guys, as he was trying to explain what he can and can't do with his hip, in terms of all the different physical limitations, that he will not be playing on Sunday. And I don't know if you think that any of those players are going to play on Sunday, but I think it's safe to assume that if you have two DNPs in a row, there's a chance that if you can't go on Friday, that you're not playing. Now, Kevin Winston did practice in a limited space, so maybe there's a chance that if Diggs can't go, that Winston can step in. They did use three safeties a lot last week. What do you make of the injury report and what it does to the team's strategy moving forward, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, the Sweat one becomes a concern if he can't go, especially when that was going to be the place who could exploit the Rams. They've got two banged-up guards. If you had Simmons and Sweat at full strength in this one, that's something you probably feel pretty good about. That being said, we know Latham's out. We know the Titans are going to have to strategize with Oli Udoh. I talked to him earlier in the week, talked about what he feels went wrong in the first one, what he thinks he can carry over from the first one. I think that he has pretty effectively articulated His problem last week was he was just not getting off the ball quick enough. He really just
heard.
He will admit that he was getting beat off the ball. He was slow off the ball, and Denver exploited that, allowing a sack on his first play in the game. That could be a reason why. I think that as the Titans deal with this, the Diggs injury is maybe less pressing than Sweat and Latham, just because most teams don't rotate safeties. Most teams have their safeties out 75 plays a game. Last year, I don't think Xavier Woods missed a snap of defense. He was the NFL's leader in snaps among non-quarterbacks. So if he has to play a bunch of football, nobody's going to be surprised.
Amani Hooker played 96% of snaps last year.
Yeah, I was about to say, we've seen Amani Hooker take a lot of snaps. So even if Winston can't go quite yet, I don't think that you need to be overly concerned about Woods and Hooker back there. But losing Sweat, we'll see if Shia Tuttle is up. I guess that would be the big thing if Sweat can't go. And then with Udo, it's a difference between last week. Denver was a speed rush team. Los Angeles is more of a power rush team. So when you're going against a team that's going to beat you with power, you do have a split second more to react to what's going on and try to, beat the team you're going against power versus power, which I guess is theoretically a little bit easier, but it's still an incredibly good pass rush. So whether it was Latham or Udo, going to be a challenge.
Unsure what chill mode is meaning here, but ain't nobody worried about verse. Mac Jesus, why not just go with Mac Just? I think you should do that. Let's get it, Titans. I'm more of a Teen Just guy. Afternoon, fellas. Injury report slightly concerning. This is from Jake, but also gives Udo time to be a starter. I think coaching calling was awful, but those drops killed Cam. I don't know what play call was awful. Other than if you want to talk through the 47 seconds left in the first half thing, we can do that. I think Brian Callahan explained his thinking. We can disagree or agree with that. But outside of that, I didn't think the scheme or the play calling was the problem with the offense.
Are we just jumping into it?
I mean, we can, unless you got any more to do with the offense or with the injury report.
I think we're good. Say your spiel.
What about the?
I don't know. You seem like you have something on your mind.
Well, I think it is a totally fair criticism, and again, we've kind of beaten this horse, so I want to focus on the next chapter of this conversation. I don't need to clear my throat and say, oh, Brian Callahan did a great job calling the the decisions in the game that went the opposite way that he could have done better. I'm not going to debate the merits of those because I think we all kind of agree, hey, he didn't do a good job. The question is, what percentage of the job is that?
Yeah.
And how much of the job, and this is what I said to PK on Tuesday, we can say he failed based on what we've seen in that game. And in the game, that's important. But the other 95% of the work week is done doing a bunch of things to put his team in a position to win games. And the scheme, in my opinion, was fine. Calvin Ridley dropped passes. The tackles didn't block. I mean, we can go through a lot of different things that didn't work in the game, but I feel like Cam Ward, if we thought Cam Ward was good or showed everything he needed to show, and the receivers were where they're supposed to be, Gunnar Helm was open. Like they schemed people open most of the game. It can't that is the job of the coach, especially the guy who calls the plays and who's an offensive mind. So if we're saying Brian Callahan failed in his decision making during the game as a CEO of game manager, I'm fine with that. But just to say he's absolutely atrocious and terrible because of the 3 or 4 decisions you disagree with on a Sunday doesn't necessarily mean he failed everywhere else throughout the course of the week. And I think that has been lost in this conversation. And if you think Cam Ward was solid, and if you think the scheme was solid, then I don't that's still the majority of his job. Now, all the penalties, this is the other side of this stuff. How much does Brian Callahan carry when Jarvis Brownlee, who was targeted and penalized for being too handsy all of last season, and they work on it all summer, and Jarvis Brownlee says, I'm not going to change after being called for 3 penalties. Is that on Brian Callahan? I'm not saying he's innocent. I just am trying to understand how much of the guilt and the blame, because we give too much blame to the coach, we give too much credit to the coach, because the players are the ones out there playing the game. And it seemed like the scheme was just fine. It did not seem like the scheme was the problem against Denver. And frankly, the defensive scheme and performance was fantastic. Special teams, elite. So that's all. Doesn't Brian Callahan get credit for that too? Like, I don't know. I'm not defending him here. I'm just saying we should talk about it.
Anyone who's listened to this show long enough knows that one of my pet theories is that in any level of football, unless you've got a top 5% coach or a bottom 5% coach, the coach probably isn't making a difference on game day. Now, play calling is a different thing. But if we're talking about coaching, like the actual effect of how you lead your players, how you motivate your players, how you affect and change the game with your ability to communicate, 90% of the league, probably not happening. Play calling matters. And look, I was not a fan of the way they handled the sequence before halftime. I think you throw it one time, you test the waters. If it doesn't work, you run the ball twice, you try and drain the clock.
Is it Brian Callahan's fault that Calvin Ridley didn't look for the pass?
No, of course not. But that was second down, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was second down.
So once you've already failed once, I probably would have
heard, but that's an extended run play.
I understand it. I get it.
Okay. Right.
And then the sequence in the red zone, I am less critical of the individual play calling than I am the context of it. The context one being taking out Tony Pollard when he's on a hot streak. I probably would have left the best running back in. The context two being this is something they struggled with last year when they got close to the goal line and they couldn't necessarily find the right plays to get them in. I think it's fair to bring that up. There are quibbles you can have with play calling because I think it's fair to quibble with play calling because everybody thinks they can call plays because everybody's played Madden since they were 6 years old. None of us actually know what goes into it.
Is it not just a feel? Is it not just mostly a feel thing?
Sure.
The timing of, because the schemes are almost all the same. Almost every person, if you are good enough to be a coordinator or a head coach calling plays in the NFL, the schemes and the ideas and the concepts and the route, everyone knows what a defense is doing and how you attack a 2-high look versus a 3-high look versus everyone knows. This is not new stuff.
It's all bluffing and double.
So it's about timing. It's about instinct and timing. And I don't know if he's great at that or not, but the players were open most of the game.
And so when I think about coaching in this game, I'm going to think about those moments I just brought up. I'm also going to think about, as you brought up with defense, the stated purpose of the Titans are not going to let Bo Nix outside the pocket. And that worked. Even with all the limitations we've been talking about for months with this Titans defensive front, their guys kept a quarterback who thrives when he's outside of the pocket inside the pocket. I'm going to think about a moment that I asked John Fossil about on Tuesday, where James Williams gets that hard penalty that was frivolous and bad. You are not supposed to shove a guy after the whistle. We know this. And I asked, well, how do you handle a situation when a player does something like that? And John Fossil, go back and watch the press conference if you haven't watched it. He gives probably a 2 or 3 minute answer of this is the conversation we have. We talk about the guy for having the right instinct, for wanting to protect a teammate, for wanting to go through all of the motions of I'm going to be the good teammate you need me to be. But you also talk about a player, you can't do that. You can't respond that way. And I think about that from coaching. That is coaching. Whether or not you correctly get a buzz in your ear to challenge a play, that's part of coaching, but that is not the verb coaching. So when we talk about what actually is coaching, Braden's right. 90 to 95% of coaching happens between Monday and Saturday. That 5 to 10% that happens on Sunday, we really have to define what is coaching and what is decision-making. Because while the decision-making, I don't think was necessarily great. And we can talk about 18 games into the Callahan era. How many times have they adjusted to an adjustment successfully? Something's working, it stops working. How do they respond to it? I think it's fair to bring up that does not happen nearly enough. And we can look at the struggles in the fourth quarter that have definitely predated the Callahan era, but have been heavy in the Callahan era.
The game plans last year were sound. They did very well in the first half. They made no adjustments in the second half. That's either a rookie coach learning how to do that, or or a coaching staff that's incapable of doing that. And we don't know which one it is. We shall see. And again, Chill Mode here, by the way, says the basic problem with the argument, Braden, is that he's failing. He is failing to what is that? The basics of his job. Come on, Chill Mode. Let's work on our.
He is failing at the basics of his
job. Could you imagine if a player told his coach he didn't know what offsides was? I don't have as much. Like, was it a bad decision? Yes. Do sometimes people do their brains stop working in key moments all across the world in every walk of life? Yes. Is that a bad thing? Yes, it is. Did he see the play? Did he ever actually get a look at it? Or does the guy in his ear say, elbow wasn't down, don't challenge it? I don't think that in real time was as clear-cut as anyone thinks it is. In replay, it's clear that his elbow hits the ground.
And this is the one thing I'll say about the review, and then we can talk about the future, because I don't really care about the past all that much. But one thing I will say, how long is an NFL play clock? 25 seconds?
Yeah.
How long does it take to see two versions of that replay? Probably about 10 to 15 seconds.
It's pretty fast. I mean, you're going to have it moving quickly.
So we're saying you have about 10 seconds between seeing two angles of the replay and the ball having to be snapped on the next play. Brian Callahan is also the play caller. So in that time, he has to be formulating what play to call based off of what has been called.
Two different potential downs and distances, in theory.
I do not think that, given the time it would take to watch replay, the person in his ear had time to say anything more than challenge or don't challenge.
Yep.
I do not believe they had time to say, well, as we all know and agree, the rule is you need an elbow and a foot. And Brian says, yes, we all know and agree that's the rule, because that's how we understand the rule. And the guy in his ear says, fundamentally, since we know the rule is that you need an elbow and a foot, he only got, like, that's not what happened, guys. Did he mess up in the press conference afterwards?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's not coaching. That's media relations.
And normally that's what's stunning about that is that he's normally very good at that. Like, that's,
But so if we can all understand how time works and how the ability to multitask works, I don't think the lack of challenging in the moment is an indication of bad coaching.
Yeah.
Now, not being able to recite the rule properly after the game, alarming. It's a thing that's going to look bad.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say about the challenge. I do not think that it exhibits anything in the moment.
Right. And ultimately, this conversation is not about relitigating the goodness or the badness of the decision making.
Sure.
It's about how much should we put on that part of his game as a coach. I actually am more concerned with the broad CEOing of an organization that was committed so greatly to very specific ideas and philosophies all offseason, and then the exact opposite thing happened in the game throughout all the players. That is more of a concern for me than I decided to be a little risky because we knew we were going to get man coverage on down inside of our own 10-yard line with 47 seconds to go in the lead on the road. We knew we were going to get man coverage, and I thought, you know what, we should attack this. We know what we're going to get. Let's go after it. I'm okay with that. That's a calculated risk. It was wrong. It didn't work. But like I don't think that's a reason we like tar and feather a guy. I am concerned with 13 penalties and the offensive line not being fixed, and like just broadly and generally the team not looking like they solved the problems that they said they were trying to solve all offseason.
Yeah. And
that is leadership and culture and coaching at the top. It's not like was the route designed perfectly for that defensive look. That's not what we're talking about here.
And like, it's a faulty metaphor. I know it's a faulty metaphor, but I'll compare it to, like, imagine your job is 10th grade chemistry teacher.
Brutal.
And all of the report cards come in. You've got 25 kids in your class, and the average grade in the class is a 72. Oh my gosh, you didn't teach them to all get 100s. You must be such a bad teacher. That could be it. Or the kids might have gotten questions wrong. Like,
they might have their cell phones in class.
Yeah. It's like I don't necessarily want to say the mistakes happened because coaching didn't instill stuff well enough. That could be it.
Yeah,
I would say that is the leading likelihood that that's it. But there is also the possibility that people make mistakes in the moment because it's really hard to play football.
So, and the other thing is, and as we kind of spin this, Sinker's Beverages, by the way, if you need a drink after this conversation, Stock and Willie's Barbecue open 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today and over the weekend if you need some food. I think what's interesting, and this kind of Jake makes this point about Moore and Ridley not being ready. Like, I don't think Calvin Ridley, like, it's not, how do I word this? Calvin Ridley is a professional who gets $90 million and is not a young player. His job is to get himself ready. Brian Callahan's job is not to, teach him to run through a wall an hour before the Broncos game. His job is to put him in the right place on the field to make plays. And he did that. How is Brian Callahan or Nick Holes or Bo Hardigree supposed to teach Calvin Ridley to catch the football? That's Calvin Ridley. That's on Calvin Ridley. Now, we can discuss the front office and the decision around Dan Moore because we had all those questions all summer. And I think it's going to be better than what we saw against Denver. I don't know if it's going to be better this Sunday, but it's going to be better than that because Denver's really, really good. And that's important context as well on the defensive line in particular. But the job of the coach and the entire staff is to sort of put the players in the best position possible to succeed. And I think by and large, if you look at the entire 53-man or whatever it is, 48 active roster, whatever it is, by and large, all of them were in the right place, ready to make the plays in the right way. And, I don't think the Jeffery Simmons penalty was that big of a deal. Like, I think it was a 50-50 call. He got unlucky. He shouldn't have done it. But, like, I just don't think it's like some indictment of Jeffery Simmons, like, whatever you want to say. Jeffery Simmons was the most dominant player on the field. And so the job of the coaching staff is to put the players in the best positions to maximize their talents. And I don't know if the coaching staff, I don't know what else the coaching staff could have done in that department of the job. And so then really to me, it's decision-making, like you said. And then I don't know what the right word is. Like CEO is the best way to say it. It's sort of being the top of the mountain of an organization. Is he capable of that? I still think those things are up for debate. But coaching football, I don't think that's a debate.
Yeah,
in my mind.
I think that week 1 of the NFL season is kind of specially designed to make everybody be like, I have to have an opinion right now, and I can only base it off of this thing. I think that we have watched 18 games with Brian Callahan as coach of the Titans. If you are valuing what happened in the 18th game significantly more than you value what happened in the first 17, calm down. We're going to see more, and we've already seen a bunch. I think that a lot of the things that we are frustrated about, or that fans are frustrated about, or that people are feigning frustration about simply because they want to have an opinion right now, are things that cropped up last year too. Very little that I saw last week was new to me, surprising to me, shocking to me. But it's still worth commenting. Your team had 131 yards worth of penalties or whatever that was. You shouldn't do that. And when your focus is that, it's embarrassing. But penalties were an issue last year too. Like, I don't know how much more to say than the Titans weren't good and they remain not quite good yet.
Some of those penalties are, and I think PK actually wrote about this. Some of these penalties are the player being in the right position and doing the best they can with less talent than the guy that they're facing. And sometimes that's going to be a penalty. And so I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying that's a fact. I want to take what you just said, though, about everyone having to have, and this is 2025 culture to some degree, that you have to have a fully formed hot take about a 1/17th of a season. And I think that's already the case with Cam.
Yeah.
Because it is confirmation bias, in my opinion, around Cam. I am, and what's odd to me is that I'm like, I think I am going so hard the opposite direction of forming an opinion that I'm now like paralyzing myself into not having an opinion. And I'm now like stepping back, just going like, I don't know. I think I saw some good stuff in there. I think I saw elite arm talent. I think I saw him hold on to the ball too long. I can't wait to see him play again. And I'm like, but I don't know. And I don't think that game should be the thing that tells you that you do know or don't know. And I'm just like, so maybe I'm like hypersensitive to myself doing that now. And now I'm through the looking glass on forming my own opinions.
I'll give my 2-sentence summary, and we can kind of use it as a thesis and work from there. My review of Cam's first game. Cam Ward is
an essay by Nick Size.
Cam Ward is very good at doing the parts of the quarterback position that involve throwing the football. I am not yet convinced that Cam Ward is where he needs to be when it comes to the part of the quarterback position that do not involve throwing the football. Is that a measured enough review of week one without getting hot takey?
Give me the list. Let's do a listicle.
Okay.
Top 5 things a quarterback must do that don't involve throwing a football.
Number 5.
No, when it comes to how he tried to escape out of the back of the pocket, which is something that works in college, doesn't work as well in the NFL.
Something we talked about on the show.
When it comes to understanding when is the right time to throw a ball out of bounds versus taking the sack, the situational awareness on the field. I think that is something that he has admitted he needs to do a better job of. When it comes to getting the team from the huddle to the line of scrimmage quicker, I think that is something that he's admitted, that is something Callahan's admitted, and that is something fans have been clamoring about for years. That's something that he can get better at as a quarterback when it comes to realizing tempo.
Point of fact, 40 seconds greater than 25 seconds.
Yes. So that's not full 5. I can brainstorm on some more.
That's fine. Number 2. That's fine. The question, like throwing the ball, like that throw to Ridley, where he rolls right and he's in the back of the end zone or in the middle of the end zone, and he goes all the way back across his body, ends up being a great result. That's not a good decision. That's not a good decision. Great result, because honestly, he misses a wide open Ridley on that route earlier. He's standing in the pocket, has Ridley crossing, and doesn't just hit the guy. So again, like we shouldn't be overreacting to this stuff. It is one game of what could be a 10 or 12 year career. Like what we can't we can't overreact to this stuff. Everything I saw, and this is the same thing I think I said with you and with PK on this show about all the camp stuff and all the preseason game stuff. I see all the things that I really like about Cam Ward already, and I see the things that I had concerns about with Cam Ward already. That's all. Is it 75% good, 25% concern? Probably. It's more good than it is in questions, but that's where I was when they drafted him. That's where I was at camp. That's where I was in the preseason. Is he going to extend plays too long? Does he have the footwork? Does he kind of think he can play hero ball? And if you watch the breakdown on 440 that James Foster did for me, which is about a 6-minute recap of everything Cam Ward did, the biggest actual throwing concern with Cam Ward is down the field accuracy. That is the thing. He gets a little wild and a little high and outside sometimes when he and we saw him try to pound in some of those darts down the seam where it was just a little off. And so I think he's a very good thrower of the football. I cannot wait to watch him play again as a football fan, because I don't know what's going to happen. And that should be the fun part of this for most people. I think Brian Callahan puts him in has plays designed around his skills that are smart. I think Gunnar Helm is going to have a big day. I think Gunnar Helm is the guy you should be targeting right now. I think Calvin Ridley catches the ball better, and I think the rest of his offense needs to support him more. Not the coaching staff necessarily. Like, they just keep doing their jobs. The players around him need to do a better job, in my opinion.
Not to get you into Packers hype mode. Sorry about this, but I don't know how many of you guys watched Commanders and Packers last night. I have made it no secret that I think Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I think Jaden is a really, really, really good football player. He missed a ton of throws trying to go to the sideline yesterday. Accuracy is difficult, especially when you're a young quarterback. If we're looking at who are the most accurate passers in the NFL right now, it's probably guys like Stafford and Rodgers Geno Smith, who have been in the NFL forever, who understand field discipline better than the guys who are making it through on pure talent and ability. Sure, I'm
just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay.
I'm hyped about the defense is what I'm hyped about as a Packers fan. Not Parsons necessarily, although I felt like he won almost every rep in the first 2 games. The fact that the Lions and the Commanders were held to largely nothing in 2 games is pretty impressive for a team that got beaten by all of the good teams last year. So I don't know. I'm the one who's still like, this is okay. This is good for Titans fans to hear, because I don't know how much in depth I've gone into my theory of Jordan Love. You guys are Titans fans, diehard Titans fans, and if your unadulterated support and love of Cam Ward is what you want to do, totally support that. I am a diehard Packers fan who loved the Packers since I was born into this world, and I am the one on the group thread with my family who loves the Green Bay Packers, who is saying, I don't know if this Jordan Love guy is as good as you guys all think he is. So I'm at least consistent in my I'm not sure of a quarterback. And this is a guy who's got $250 million and has won a bunch of games. I think he's in an elite system with elite playmakers around him, and with a guy who just is a brilliant play caller. You guys want to see what timing is all about with play calling? Watch the drive last night after Green Bay gives up a touchdown to make it a one-score game at the start of the fourth quarter. They were dominating the game 17-3 the most of the way. They give up a touchdown to make it a one-score game, 17-10. They come right back, and Matt LaFleur calls one of the best drives I've ever seen him call. He brought out 2 or 3 plays he had held back, and he absolutely they went right down the field, retook the lead with 2 scores, and that was the game. And that was all about timing in terms of how he called those plays. It was a master class. And so that's the thing you want to see here is a coach who kind of knows what's happening in the game. And Callahan sees how, because this is what James and I were talking about on a hot read yesterday. If they're going to attack Cam Ward off the edge with 2 tackles that we're not sure about, Latham out, we don't know how good they're going to be. They've got Young and Verse coming off the edge. What is the counterpunch? You know that's coming. Well, it's the quickest way to get the ball out is fade routes, right? Quick fades, quick slants, quick throws, but fades down the field are the fastest way to push the ball down the field, stretch the defense with no time to throw. Alec Iomanner, he's a guy that could do that. Calvin Ridley is a guy that could do that with different skills, speed. If that works a couple times, then they're going to react to that, and they're going to go to a 2 high safety look. Then you have to be able to come back off that after that. And so that is what I want to see from Callahan is be prepared for the 4th move away. That's the chess game. And if you know they're going to pressure you, and then you know you're going to do this, and then they're going to do X, Y, and then you're going to do Z, you have to have all that played out in your head. And it felt like LaFleur does that all the time. And I need to see that from Callahan and from Cam Ward, frankly.
Yeah, and LaFleur's in year 7 right now?
He's been around a long time.
He knows what he's doing. I agree. If I have one pit in my stomach about the coaching right now, it has a lot more to do with the adjustments off the adjustments, like I mentioned earlier, and like you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. And every time I bring it up, I feel compelled to point out that the fourth quarter struggles predate the Callahan era. But strategically, the fourth quarters and the second halves in the Callahan era have not been what you would want. The off-script plays, especially coming out of halftime and when trailing in the fourth quarter, have not done his team any favors. And look, I understand how clocks work and how timeouts work and all this stuff, but the Titans, it was a 1-possession game the entire time against Denver. And so the whole, this is what happens when you get predictable, this is what happens when you're forced to drop back and pass. There were really only 2 drives when they were forced to drop back and pass. This whole situation of, you start at the 22-yard line after the muffed punt and you got to throw the... You didn't have to throw the ball. You got stuffed on first down and you dropped back in response to it.
Yeah.
I think that the getting one-dimensional aspect sometimes is forced upon you. When you give up 30 points to the Lions in the first quarter, you become one-dimensional. Sure. I don't think they were forced to get one-dimensional until those last couple of drives against Denver. And even then, that had more to do with time than it did deficit. And
I expect the same. I think this is a good point. The Rams, while they were very good, did not blow Houston out. This was 14-6, 14-9. It was a low-scoring, kind of dirty game. Titans played a low-scoring, dirty game. If we expect both of them to come in here and play another low-scoring, dirty game, then you're right. Don't give up on the running games. Chill's asking about moving Zeitler out. I think the interior of the offensive line was the best part of the offense. Probably. Yeah. There was a couple drives there where Pollard had a lot of room to operate between the A and B gaps. So I think you need to stick with it a little bit longer, knowing that the 2-yard gain turns into a 4-yard gain, which turns into a 7-yard gain as the game goes along. I think you need to stick with that, be a little bit more if your defense, if Denard Wilson's scheme and L'Jarius Sneed gets a few more snaps and Simmons is as disruptive as he was, and they've got a 3 safety look, if Kevin Winston is able to play this week, there's a lot of optimism, I think, more so than I expected, around the defense being able to keep them in games like the one they played last week.
Yeah.
And if they play the game this week against the Rams the same way, the same type of game, you can be more conservative with your rookie quarterback. You can run the football a little bit more, maybe with more than just one running back, but timing is critical on that. I think, and Foster had this idea, and I think it's great. Harold Fannin was used in every conceivable way by the Cleveland Browns. See what Chig can do in different spots on the offense. As long as you've practiced it and you're ready for it, Gunnar Helm can stretch the field. Use Chig in as many different possible ways as you can. He is fighting for a contract. He's in good shape. He's ready to go. So, like, you can be a little bit more conservative in this game if you expect it to be 17-15 or 21-17 again, and which is very, very possible because I think the defense, while I expect Stafford and that offense to get their points and to pick up their yards, I think you can keep them in the low 20s or the high teens.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you give yourself a chance to win, but you can't make any big mistakes.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the Rams, but real quickly, cleaning it up, chill mode, with your question about moving Zeitler out to tackle.
Is that what he's talking about? Okay,
yeah.
My bad.
One, I believe he's been in the pros 13 or 14 years, and I don't know if he's ever moved out to tackle. I don't know if he'd be prepared for that. And two, more importantly here, of all of the rookies they drafted, of the 9, I think it's 9 draft picks this year, Slater is the one who is the longest term project right now. Yeah. I don't think that Slater is going to be on the active roster for at least another couple of weeks.
It's Hance that could get in there, right?
Yeah, Hance theoretically could get in there, which I think that's one of the suggestions Chill Mode was making. But I would expect with Latham out to see John Ojukwu be elevated off the practice squad as extra help at tackle. But with the Rams specifically, did you watch Rams Texans? Did you go back and watch?
I did not see much of it. No.
Okay. I went back and rewatched it either yesterday or Wednesday, earlier in the week. And the thing that I was most impressed by is the Rams defense, and specifically the discipline and the sure-handedness of the Rams defense. I can show you my notes. They're sitting over there on my LSU Tigers notepad that I don't remember why I have. And I wrote down, I don't think they've missed a tackle in the first quarter, and then in the second quarter, and then I wrote it again in the third quarter. And after I finished the game, I went and checked the stats. They didn't miss a tackle.
That's impressive.
The Rams are not credited with a missed tackle. They are a very disciplined, sure-handed defense. When a guy named Shula runs your defense, you should probably feel a little bit comfortable with it.
They don't strike me as like elite athleticism, but they strike me as, you're right, being in the right place at the right time all the time.
But the converse of this, I watched that offense and I was not particularly impressed with the 11 versus 11 operation. I was very impressed with the 1 versus 1 operation. They have playmakers who are going to win. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and sometimes Kyron Williams, and they have playmakers who are going to make plays. That is not going to be a concern. But when you watch the actual 11 on 11, the running game up the middle, especially with their guards and their offensive line banged up, I do think that this is a game that the Titans could muck up, kind of like they did against Denver. You can make it sloppy. You can make the Rams not sustain long drives. I think that...
Which they're comfortable playing in a game like that. They like that game too. And
they like that game. But that is going to keep things close. And when you keep things close, it becomes a toss-up at the end.
You got a chance.
The Titans have not been good at playing end-of-game toss-ups yet. They have not been good at playing end-of-game toss-ups since 2021. Like, it's been a long time since they were good at this. But theoretically, if we go back to what we were talking about last week, one of the things I said from my interview with Brinker, where he said a goal for the Titans is to every game play the type of game that your opponent says, I did not want to be playing that, and that your fans said, I'm proud of how the team looked. I think they did one of the two last week. I don't think the Broncos wanted to play that game.
Yeah,
I think the Titans took the Broncos out of the game plan they had.
5 yards per attempt is not good for a quarterback throwing 40 times.
Yeah, I think that was arguably the least productive game since Bo Nix has gotten to Denver. That's good. But I don't think I'm not going to say I don't think. I know, based off of the conversation we've been having for 40 minutes and 4 seconds right now, fans are not proud of what happened.
Right. What's interesting is I thought, and I said this on Tuesday's show and talked about it with James as well, it was very clear what Sean Payton and Bo Nix saw that they could attack against the Titans defense. It is zone coverage over the middle of the field. It's not Cody Barton's strength. It's not Cedric Gray's strength. It's just not. And it was very clear that they were attacking the zone with curl routes, hook routes, quick throws, short passes. That was the game plan. Now, eventually it led to the Broncos offense not making a lot of big X plays, but that was kind of by design, and they were willing to do it with patience. And McVay will put Higbee and Puka in situations to create conflict, and they will attack the middle of the field with Matt Stafford's arm because he can drive the ball to the seam. He can drive the ball between windows. He can attack. Sure, you could run, if you get man-to-man coverage with Roger McCreary on Tutu Atwell, is that a mismatch down the field on a straight go route? Yes, it probably is. So there could be some of that, but I think by and large, the book on this Titans defense is you got to attack the middle of the field and force them into zone coverage, and I think that's what they're going to try to do. And I don't know why anyone would try something different to start with. And at the same time, that part of that is they know that Simmons has to be, and I'm kind of going round and round here. They know that they're going to have time to throw if there's no pass rush off the edge, which is why they put Simmons out to edge a few times, and it worked really well last week against a very good tackle in McGlinchey. So I think Simmons can have another game like he did, and if he does, then it's a real dirty game, and I think the Titans are in it. The question is, does Calvin Ridley drop the pass? I'm not trying to put it all on him, but the stars, the best players on the team have to be the best players on the team.
And the Rams, for what it's worth, do not have a Patrick Surtain type player. They've got good rushers like Verse and Young and Fisk, and those guys are fairly comparable to Benito and Cooper and Allen and all that. The Rams don't have a corner quite like Surtain. I think Ridley is going to have an easier time getting established early. And we've seen this before coming off of a bad Ridley game. The Titans do a very good job of getting him the ball early after that.
Because once he gets rolling, he can have big days. So, well, it's going to be fun to watch. Again, I think it's okay for everybody to say, I'm just not quite sure yet about this, or this. And I think that's okay because there are 16 more games to go in a very long, very arduous, very physical season where a lot of people make a lot of money to be very good at this. And so it's going to be hard. We shall see. Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. Sinkers Beverages, sign up for the in-crowd, everybody. The bourbon industry is kind of in a weird place right now in terms of accessibility. And so if you go into Sinkers right now, there are Buffalo Trace bottles, there's Blanton's bottles, there's all kinds of really great stuff. They have a private selection of Four Roses that is absolutely spectacular. That is only at Sinkers Beverages, the 4-time liquor store of the year. They do tastings every weekend, so there's free stuff in there all the time, Thursday through Sunday, so go check it out. I know they'll have some stuff up there today on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, so make sure you're going and swinging by Sinkers. And again, if you're having a big watch party on Saturday for the Vols and the Dogs, or any other big time SEC matchup, maybe your national champion Vanderbilt Commodores, if you're going to watch them on the road on Saturday night, don't drive. Just have the booze delivered directly to your house or your watch party. Search on Uber Eats, Sinkers Beverages. Best brisket in the city as well, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. All right, you want to make a prediction here, or you got anything else on the Titans Rams you want to talk about?
I have most of it. I have the Rams winning close, kind of like we've been alluding to, 20-17 type game, 21-14 type. Like, I think it's a one-score game late that the Rams are just, that's a well-coached team. That is a well-prepared team. I think the Rams discipline, they are less likely to beat themselves than the Titans are. So I think that ends up being the deciding factor. But I do think, and I've written this and I will stand by this, I think Cam throws 2 or 3 touchdowns this game. Like, I do think that you see the progress, you see the growth. He comes out and shows that he's a darn good quarterback prospect. I still don't think he's Patrick Mahomes. I still don't think he's Lamar Jackson. But
hot take. Oh my God.
But I do think that he is going to have a little bit more success when it comes to actually affecting the scoreboard this week.
Yeah. I think Ridley gets one, and I want to see the tight ends used a lot. I want to see Helm and Chig used a lot in tandem together with each other. Like, did you watch Tucker Kraft last night? Like, find a way to get Gunnar Helm the football. He can run those deep out routes were really effective multiple times in the game last week. I think be creative with Chig. Let's see what they can do with those tight ends as well. And I agree. I think Ridley's going to have a big game. So we shall see. 3 safety look. I would be excited to see Kevin Winston if he can play. we'll see what happens there. So there you go. Okay, you want to touch on a little bit on college football here? I know it starts tomorrow. It starts tomorrow, but it's very quick turnaround here for a podcast. But it's a very big weekend.
Sure.
So let's go rapid fire here.
Okay.
Is Billy Napier going to get fired?
Eventually, in the long-running scope of his career, yes. This year, I do not think so.
You don't think he's getting fired this year?
I do not.
Okay.
I believe that Florida is going to end up around that 6 or 7 win mark. They're going to find a way to thunder through this tough schedule. They're going to be in Birmingham or Shreveport or wherever a mid-tier SEC team goes. And that is clearly not good enough. But I do think that 1, buyout, and 2, there will be understanding about what the schedule was.
The buyout is far less than I expected. I thought it was like 28, 29 million. It is down in the 16, 18 million dollar range.
But who are they still paying? Isn't that the question?
They're not still paying anybody. This is his 5th year.
I thought this was his 4th year, but
maybe it's his 4th year. But either way, they're not paying. I don't think they're paying. It wasn't Muschamp. Who was before him? Why am I drawing a blank? No, Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen.
Yeah.
Well, Mullen has
Mullen
has a head coaching job.
Yeah.
You get your buyout if you're working for ESPN. You don't get your buyout if you're the head coach at UNLV.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think they're going to play well against LSU. But
I do too. I still think LSU wins that game, but I do think that Florida's going to look better.
Football's a weird sport. Teams do weird things when their backs are against the wall. So that's how Florida team's really good too, by the way.
And also, who proved that was Florida last year, when we were all talking on September 12th about Billy Napier getting fired, and they found a way. I got
cold takes exposed last year because all summer I was like, I think Billy Napier is closer to an extension than getting fired. I got cold takes exposed by like week 4, and it turns out I was kind of right about that, actually.
I don't like that account. I'll start internet beef.
Oh.
What's the point of the internet if not to just say stuff off the top of your head?
Why? Of course.
It's one thing when it originally...
Well, no. There's one more point of the internet, which is to dunk on people for saying things off the top of their head.
But like when that account originally started, I remember it was like finding newspaper articles from 1930 that were like, there's never going to be war again. And it's like, aha, you were wrong. But when it becomes somebody says something and 4 minutes later, it turns out to be wrong, you can't be like, that's not a cold take. That's being incorrect. It's just...
Is there a reason you're not on Twitter? Do you not like? I don't like the dunk culture as a human. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not my thing. It wasn't my thing when I was in middle school. I don't get it. But that's all Twitter is just dunk. It's just dunk cult. Who can dunk on each other harder? And unfortunately, this week, as we've learned, it has real repercussions to just be bullying to each other. It's awful. But anyway, let's not go down that road. I think. I see now. I want to be like, oh, Cam Ward's going to throw a touchdown, and we're going to have an entire ether of commentary that's like, oh, he told you he's a great player, #1 overall pick. See, he told you.
And that's what it's for. That's what social media is for.
Right. No, I hear you.
Do the thing.
Right.
Just don't tell me to bake glass into my cookies, which is a real thing that somebody tweeted at me one time. I don't like that.
Is that from your SEC days back in Mississippi?
that is related to a Heisman Trophy vote that I did not make.
That not Matt? Did you not vote for Matt Corral or something?
Yeah, we don't need to fully rehash this, but there were some angry people about that.
I also did not vote. Mississippi is a strange place. It's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful place.
Wonderful place.
I say this as a now like a registered Southerner. We are a tormented people, but we are a wonderful people. But it's complicated.
Sure.
The relationship's complicated. All right, Vanderbilt at South Carolina. This is, if Vanderbilt goes and wins this game, I mean, all bets are off on the ceiling for this team. I'm not saying playoff, but like if you go on the road and destroy Virginia Tech, and then go on the road and beat a playoff caliber, I mean, Pavia versus Sellers is almost better than Lagway versus Nussmeier, which is a crazy thing to say out loud.
Yeah, I blinked pretty hard on that. I agree that is going to be a fun matchup. I agree that there is more of a chance that Vanderbilt finds a way than there should be. I am lower on South Carolina than most people were coming into the season.
Okay.
I do believe that is a good South Carolina team, but it fits my rule of whichever team is getting the most preseason hype, I'm going to back off of a little bit. Looking at you, Missouri last year. So South Carolina.
I was with you on Missouri last year.
Yeah. South Carolina, good team. I think they end up winning that game. I do think Vandy can make it competitive, and I do think Vandy can end up looking better with a loss than even I think of them right now. I think that's a pretty good team. But if they keep this close on the road at Williams-Brice, tough at Williams-Brice in September, not a place that is fun for anyone. So that's a tough environment. I think that if Vandy keeps it close, I'll be very, very impressed. I'll be buying stock in that program.
Speaking of looking good and earning respect in a loss, the Tennessee Volunteers at home against the Georgia Bulldogs. I actually think this is not a knock on my alma mater. I actually think they can earn a ton of respect and look like something different than I thought they were, even in a loss. Joey Aguilar's already been better than I expected. But if they are in the game in the fourth quarter, because they have not been competitive with Georgia. Josh Heupel's teams have not been close to contending against Georgia's talent. If they are close in the fourth quarter and Aguilar is sort of executing a normal Heupel game plan, and it looks like they're just in a back and forth with Georgia, even in a loss, they will have made up so much more ground in my head mentally, and maybe that's a me problem, than if they win, just as much as if they win. Obviously, if they win, this is all bets are off on this team being way better than I expected. I thought this was an 8-win team that was taking a step back after losing too much talent on both sides of the ball. I think Georgia's still filled with NFL first-round picks, and I think they have been holding back. I don't think they are deploying their team the way they're going to in real games, and I think we're going to see a different form of Georgia's offense with Gunnar Stockton in this game. Question is Tennessee capable of rising to the occasion? I think they can be. So I got Georgia minus the points, but if Tennessee is close in the fourth quarter, they will have earned, they will have made up a lot of ground, I think, for people like me that kind of thought they were taking a step back.
Yeah, two things about this. One, to play 35 minutes ago on a football show. You know how we were talking about 90 to 95% of coaching happens the 6 days you're not playing football? Kirby Smart's really good at those 6 days you're not playing football.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
Kirby Smart has a reputation for putting Josh Heupel in a vice, noogieing him every time. That is the biggest advantage. I will say, in my picks pool that I do with about 100 other people, where I just have to straight up pick 25 college football games a week.
That's a lot of games.
I did pick the Vols this week. But that is because there are a lot of Georgia people in my pool because it is from college. And I feel that it is a close enough game to a toss-up that I might be able to steal a big swing win because a lot of people will be picking Georgia.
See, picks pools are for trolling as well, not just the internet. You can troll in your picks pool.
And then second thing, since we're talking about the dogs, I'll just read a text I just got about my dad live on the air. My parents are on an airplane right now, and my mom texts, "Dad's watching Larry David on the plane and doing his Dennis the Menace laugh. I hear him with earplugs in." So
we need to get her some noise canceling. You know what to get her for Christmas now.
Yeah. So
get her some noise canceling AirPod.
I don't know what watching Larry David means. Is he watching Curb?
Curb. Yeah.
Is he watching stand up? I don't know. But
it's got to be Curb.
It's got to be. But yeah, so that's the Georgia fan right now, laughing hysterically on a plane to a point that people with earbuds in cannot get some rest.
Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Last big one here. I think A&M can actually make this one tight.
I think Notre Dame is probably going to win, but my heart is telling me A&M is gonna make this work.
This was a brutal kind of brawling, mauling, physical back and forth last year in College Station. And after watching Notre Dame get abused by future Tennessee Titan Ruben Bain in week number 1 for the Miami Hurricanes, I don't like the Notre Dame offensive line as much as I thought I was going to. I think A&M can lean on them a little bit in this game and be physical. It's a 7-point spread. It's on the road. We shall see. I think Texas A&M, plays very well.
I like this Texas A&M team, and I really wish that our friend from last week was on to tell us which college team he ended up picking, whether he listened to us and picked Auburn or Texas A&M or
was that Jake?
whomever.
Was that not? Was that
no?
not Jake?
That was an Irishman, I believe. That was not.
Well, Jake's the guy who lives overseas too. Yeah. Okay, all right. Maybe I'm wrong. If you're listening,
the UK and Ireland are different countries.
I know. They're all in the islands there. It's fine.
Tell an Irishman that they're similar to the UK and see what happens.
In the broad scheme of humanity, they're very similar. Scotland, Ireland, England, Wales.
In the broad scheme of humanity,
same gene pool.
In the broad scheme of humanity, Mississippi State fans and Ole Miss fans are very similar. Try telling them they're the same people.
They are the same people. They have Thanksgiving at a gas station on Thursday night. Okay, that's ridiculous. Jake says I would never do that. Jordan, here we go. I'm going to leave this on this one here because it's a good way to wrap up the show. Not endorsing this, says Jordan, but Sinkers also carries plastic shots that can be easily transported into a Japanese automaker named Stadium. Just a little tip here at the end of the show.
The Camry Dome.
Go into the Toyota Tacoma Center. Jordan, that's good advice for everybody out there that might be going to a football game on Sunday in Nashville, Tennessee.
And if you guys want something simple to click on, that's an FAQ on all of the ways to get to Nissan Stadium and all of the things you can bring to Nissan Stadium and all of the ways to get into Nissan Stadium. I did write something. If you guys are coming to a game and you want some FAQs.
Is it free buses? Do we still have free buses?
Yes. Yeah. Free buses on Sundays.
Oh, yeah, dude.
There are also 2 new routes, one coming in from Sumner County and one coming in from it's much easier to get to games. Dude, that is one thing you can give credit to.
The buses are so good. I'm telling you, the drivers are incredibly nice and kind. They are clean. They are super, they're cold, which I appreciate during the summertime in Tennessee. My kids, we ride them around in East Nashville all the time. They are great. It's a great way to get to Nissan Stadium.
Yeah. Sincerely.
It's $2. It's $2. It's great. And this one is free.
It is free. There's one route that's a $2 route. I believe that is the one coming from Gallatin. Will be a $2 route. Every other route, and this is not just routes to Nissan Stadium. All WeGo routes on Sunday Titans game days this year are free, right around the city. Yeah. Also, there is a train, I want to say, $17 starting in Lebanon.
Music City Star.
Music City. Yeah. You can take that one. And there is a shuttle that picks up near the courthouse. There are a lot of ways to get to the stadium if you fear parking issues. So check that out. And yeah, we can talk about city parking politics. I know that's Braden's favorite thing to do.
I'm a 4 and a 56 guy. Drops me right off there at Main Street and 5th. You walk 1 block, you're at the stadium. It's great. It's great. I know that there's actually a route that goes right by the stadium, but you can get off a stop early and just kind of take a stroll. So you don't have to go all the way into the traffic. If you don't want to, even on the bus. It's great. Yeah, good job by WeGo there. Let's see what the Titans do. See what the Titans do. Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Boys Barbecue, and of course, Tennessean.com for good journalism. If you want to read all of Nick's work, look at that shirt he's got on.
Yeah, the Tennessee.
You can see it on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, thumbs up, notifications turned on. Give us 5 stars. If you do not give us 5 stars, you are a hater. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everybody. We will figure out a schedule for a football show at some point. I don't know when that's going to be. We're still working through the Titans practice schedule, so we'll see what happens. Otherwise, for Nick, I'm Braden. Thanks for hanging out. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll see you at Nissan on Sunday. Peace and love.